storing that?
Since the second I saw him.
You're like, I'm opening.
I couldn't. It's that weird color of salmon where I couldn't tell if it was a skin color or not.
Yeah.
So I'm like, is he wearing a shirt?
Yeah. What's he doing?
Is he not?
Yeah.
Like, that's an odd color.
Welcome back to the show, everybody.
It's the Higher Standard, the #1 financial literacy podcast in the world.
I missed you guys.
And we kind of missed you.
A little bit.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So since you've been gone, a couple things have happened.
Yes.
He burnt down Hawaii.
You did. Wow. Shout out, prayers to all the families in Hawaii. It is not a joking matter. I apologize for Haroon's inappropriate joke.
So insensitive.
He is insensitive. And honestly, that's the last place I stayed in Hawaii. So I'm very emotional about it.
Yeah. I actually didn't go to Maui, so it wasn't me.
But, what's happened there is unbelievably fucking tragic. Front Street was, frankly, a treasure in the islands, and it was a beautiful place. And I hope the banyan tree survives. I went to it every single time I was in Lahaina.
Some of the headlines on those articles were just crazy. These authors for these articles didn't hold back.
They went a little far.
They went a little far.
They went a
People
little far.
jumped into the ocean to save their lives. Like,
Well, that's true. 36 people died, dude.
Yeah, no, I know, but I mean,
it's real.
it's like really clickbaity on this.
Yeah, which is unfortunate in a situation like that. But I mean, look, it was pretty fucking tragic. So
Yeah, we hope everyone's okay. Oh.
But while you were gone, Haroon had a baby.
Congratulations, brother.
So
Thank you. Thank you.
are now a father of 2.
2 under 2.
How does your wife feel having 3 children at home?
Well
she
played,
is
well
very,
played.
very happy. She's healthy. Baby's healthy. Everything went smooth. Within 2-3 days, we're back at home. So her parents are in town, so they've been helping a lot. So she's just been resting and healing.
Yeah, in case anyone's wondering, how the hell did he make it out? Right? He's getting some good help.
So we recorded an episode with Larry Wheels while you were gone.
That will come out next week.
Yeah, so you're going to listen to this episode tomorrow, which is Friday. We're recording it the night before. I know, weird for us too.
Right.
And we did this on purpose, intentionally, so that we could spend a little more time, be thoughtful around the Larry Wheels episode, which is going to come out on Tuesday.
Yes.
And let me tell you, it is an exceptionally interesting show, and I like it because Said's not on it.
Right. Can't believe Chris went behind my back and had Larry Wheels on the show without me.
No. In full fairness, I did send you a text saying, "Hey, can you come back early on Monday?"
No.
When you said no, I was like, "Okay, well, I guess I'm doing it
I
without
flew
you."
out of Hawaii at 6 a.m. I couldn't have got here any earlier.
Again, I feel like your world traveler status should not get in the way of the show's success.
I feel like
Not committed.
Yeah, you're not committed,
I
Said.
feel like you didn't trust me on the show.
I mean, there is the Tim Chiusano episode. For those of you who have not listened to the Tim Chiusano episode, Said says literally 2 words in it, and I know you're thinking, is Said on that episode? He actually is.
Just
If
listen to the very end, like literally the last sentence.
Good night, Tim.
No, thanks, Tim.
Yeah, that's it. Said was still getting his reps in.
Yeah. I mean, you got to take a little bit of blame too. You didn't really let me shine.
Trial by fire, baby.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, you either light on fire or you don't.
Okay, sink or swim.
Yeah. So
Got it.
This is one of those things.
Well, we got a great episode for everybody today. A lot to get into.
Which is Said's way of saying, please stop telling everybody the truth about me and my past.
Yes.
It makes him uncomfortable.
Right.
Starting off the top of the show, we're going to talk about billionaire Ray Dalio. I got a lot here. We're going to get into his comments about the Fed and an interesting perspective, which I think may ultimately change the way I think about what may happen.
Interesting.
And it is Ray Dalio, and he's a brilliant mind, and he's a billionaire.
Mm-hmm. From
Talk-
Goodfellas.
No, Ray Liotta.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Who's also passed away.
Yeah.
Your inappropriateness tonight is noted.
Okay, got
Okay.
it. One for me, one for Haroon, you're next.
I am not going to say anything inappropriate because I'm a responsible adult who cares about the livelihood that I'm trying to create
Yes.
for all of us.
For all of us. Got it.
Yes. So July CPI, I'm off topic now. Fuck it. July CPI, we're talking a lot about that. The inflation gauge rose 3.2%, but it was less than expected. Then we'll make our way over to jobs, which we all know, if you listen to the show and you're a fan, we all think is bullshit because the jobs reports are lies.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not accurate. They're completely inaccurate, as a matter of
Right.
fact. Actually, I read a Zero Hedge article, which is really interesting. We'll get into that when we get into that piece. Then we're going to talk about the first American city to tame inflation and what it owes its success to. Spoiler alert, your boy Mr. Ramsey's not going to like that one.
Mm-mm.
He's not a fan of that solution, but it seems to have worked in the first city that's been able to tame inflation down to the 2 to 3% standard. And yes, that's right. Inflation does vary city to city as well as nationally.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about rental housing costs, and if there's time, get into some credit card debt.
And don't forget, We got some solid reviews.
Solid reviews. There's like 4 or 5 of them, and I got to tell you, on the episode where we debated the value of us debating,
Yeah.
you know, the whole like begging for reviews.
Yeah.
People came out firing.
Yeah. They came out and supported. So if you haven't yet,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay.
Whether that's on Apple or on Spotify, leave us an honest 5-star review, because if it's not a 5-star review,
It's not honest.
you're just not being honest.
Yeah. Don't do that to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to see you one day and punch you right. I mean, I'm sorry, and get really upset that you didn't leave a
Ah,
5-star review.
there it is.
There
Yeah.
it
5
is.
minutes in. Let's
3
go.
for 3. It's the hat trick of inappropriateness.
Also, I feel like Saied is deserving of an apology.
Oh.
Okay, this ought to be.
Oh.
This ought to be
Oh,
done.
come on, man.
Let's go. Thank you,
For,
Odin.
Yeah.
for what precisely do I owe him an apology for?
Saied requesting a review, and you made a little like, they don't even work. No one
See,
ever leaves
okay,
reviews.
I understand the confusion here, and
Oh,
I
here we
apologize
go.
that you guys
this is
don't understand.
Chris, I already know
Oh,
what you're
come on,
doing.
man.
Okay, I'll let you go ahead. Go ahead.
See, by me debating whether there was value in it, we brought attention to the importance of the matter.
Is that what you told me?
And because we went on a prolonged period of a conversation where we debated the value of these 5-star honest reviews,
Yeah.
we received several of them.
Yes.
It was my engaging dialogue with you as my partner
Right.
that brought these fruitful ends.
Let me
Right.
know when you want me to mute him.
This is just bullshit.
Bullshit on
Spewing bullshit, dude.
Look,
He always Chris will find a way to spin it both ways,
that's
dude.
not true. Causation correlation, dude.
No, dude.
Causation correlation. They also could have arrived because you weren't here.
How could you spew this bullshit with those beads around your neck?
These beads are from Buddha himself.
Yeah.
Okay. No, yeah, these are great beads. They're
More
stretchy.
inappropriateness from Chris.
What?
Come on, man. The Indian accent. What are you
That
doing?
wasn't Indian. Why are you so racist?
Oh, dude.
That was
That was.
These are not. First of all, these are not Buddhist beads from India. There
Oh.
are other countries that have
we're
Buddhist.
talking about your accent.
We're talking about your accent,
Yes,
dude.
but there are other countries that
All right.
have that.
So, and if you thought that accent was Indian, leave us a comment on YouTube, which
Or-
we also have a channel that you can subscribe to.
Yeah, we
Hit that
do.
like button
Yeah.
and that notification bell.
Where it goes ding.
Yeah,
Okay, can we end the show now?
let's do it.
You've been really. I mean, you're not excited.
I'm excited to be back.
Okay. All right.
And we got the Travies on deck.
Yeah, we do. We have the Travis Sauce on the deck, and then I've got the OG unreleased
Mm.
on my feeds, which you can see if you follow my social media. All right, so a government-engineered shift in wealth has protected the public from the worst of the Fed's rate hikes. This, according to a Fortune article, where we went into great lengths of a conversation with billionaire investor Ray Dalio, who says the Fed's measures have not slowed consumers down, and the government is paying the price. I want you, as I read these next several paragraphs, which I thought were an interesting perspective, to keep in mind there is a set of circumstances with which you can have a government recession and not a consumer one.
Mm.
And I'm sure there's some transitory migration of expenses that'll happen. But for the first part, hedge fund veteran Ray Dalio believes, but added, the move may have pushed the government to shoot itself in the foot. A little Tory Lanez, if you will.
Just got sentenced.
Yeah, 10 years, baby.
Was it worth it, Tori?
You shot Megan Thee Stallion in the foot, and you're going to jail for
Over an
10
argument. I just wanted to be.
years.
I wanted to be in that car. I want to know
Yeah.
what was being discussed.
I mean, 10 years seems like a long time for shooting someone in the foot. I'm going to be honest here.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, I feel like you shoot somebody in the foot, that's assault, that's battery. You shot somebody, you should go to jail. But
Yeah.
10 years for a foot?
Meanwhile, SBF is just chilling at home.
Yeah, Sam Bankman-Fried stole billions.
Yeah, just like, damn, Tori, that's fucked up what they're doing to you.
Reading TMZ himself going, shit.
Yeah.
That could be you. Writing on LinkedIn of all places and picked up by Fortune, Dalio, worth $19.1 billion, has nothing better to do than write on LinkedIn, said there had been a big government-engineered shift in wealth. Okay? Government-engineered shift in wealth from the public sector and government bondholders to the private sector. And what he's really talking about is the artificial interest rate deflation put a ton of money in people's pockets, and then we layered on stimulus during the pandemic on top of that, and you've basically transferred all this wealth by these mechanisms into the consumer's hand. But it's also caused stress on the government. And now as you raise Fed interest rates, the borrowing rate, you're raising the taxpayer, you're raising the bondholders' debts. And the government's, frankly, national deficit payments go up.
Yeah, absolutely. Their interest payments on that debt is going up, and I think what also this article is probably alluding to is if if we do in fact go into a recession, well, we already know corporate earnings have been on decline for months on months now, right?
Yep.
And even though you have analysts out there that are projecting low earnings, and then corporations are actually beating those expectations, which makes it sound really good and positive, but profits are down, right?
Mm-hmm.
That just what that ultimately means is less tax revenue for the government.
Oh yeah, and it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah. So, and that's probably plays a big part into why Fitch downgraded the U.S.'s debt.
Moody's downgraded
Moody's
all
did
a
too, and
bunch of banks too.
and Fitch did too.
Yeah, and Fitch downgraded the U.S. Moody's downgraded all the banks.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a continual pattern that we'll see. And again, it started with the banking and finance sectors and technology, and it's going to roll its way. You trust me on that. So let's finish off with this paragraph here. This has made the private sector, quote, relatively insensitive, end quote, to the Fed's rate hikes. Dalio adds, as a result of this coordinated government maneuver, the household sector's balance sheets and income statements are in good shape, while the governments are in bad shape. What?
I don't know if I'm buying all that.
Really?
Household sector's balance sheets?
Yeah.
I mean, we got articles here that we're going to be touching on later where credit card debt is out of control.
I know.
Right?
I think it's really referring to savings and their net worth in their homes. When you take those two things, and even if you net out the household debt, which is at a historic high,
right?
I think you still wind up with a higher average overall net worth.
I mean, that balance, but what is your net worth really when it's not liquid to you, right? It's like the value we talk about all the time on the show. The value in your home means nothing until you sell it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So Ray, come on.
He's a billionaire.
He knows what he's talking about.
But let's go on from the article. I put a lot here from this article because I thought that this has got value.
Okay.
So going on, and I apologize. I know you don't like to hear me drone on and read, but I'm going to do it.
You've been getting better.
I know, right?
I like to give you some kudos.
So I have a reason for this. My son and I do his homework now. He's 4 and he's learning to read.
Okay.
So where he does Matt and he circles the word and does so I'm actually reading slower now because I'm used to.
Okay.
I'm actually
You're
relearning
slowing
how
it
to
down.
read. No, I'm just learning how to read again.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's fundamental. The shoppers propping up the economy are YOLO. Ray Dalio said YOLO. He did. Yeah.
I mean, did Drake coin that phrase?
In parens, it says you only live once. For those of you out there who don't have access to urban pages or urban whatever the hell it is. YOLO spenders, claims Wharton professor Jeremy Siegel. Oh, it was Jeremy Siegel who said it.
Yeah.
Who are spending the last of their cash reserves on traveling and enjoying the summer. And that explains a lot of why inflation in hospitality and travel have been high.
Right.
They're YOLO spenders.
Right.
Spenders.
I'll let you continue.
Thank you. So gracious of you.
Mm-hmm.
You just...
I wanted to chime in a little bit more.
I know you do.
Oh, let's see. The acronym was popularized by Canadian rapper Drake. It was popularized, but did he coin it? Ben Zimmerman found the earliest usage of the acronym in 1993. Wow. Really? Damn, Drake getting all the cred.
Well, I mean, who's Ben Zimmerman?
Who's Drake?
Yeah, point in case.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's Drake? I mean, what is Drake is a better question. Jesus Christ. All right. So, traveling and enjoying the summer. That means that spending boom may finally be coming to an end, but that isn't likely to help government finances in Dalio's view. Economists had bordered on panic when a White House debate over raising the debt ceiling reached the 11th hour. Now, if you listen to the show, you know that we knew that was going to happen, and it was relatively irrelevant.
Mm-hmm.
And although an agreement was reached, the debt headache has not dissipated. Quoting from the article again, does it matter that the central government and central banks have such bad balance sheets and income statements if the real economy is in pretty good shape? Dalio questioned. Of course it does. The founder of the world's biggest hedge fund, Bridgewater Associates, explained, as with people and companies, governments that borrow have debt service payments, as Saied has pointed out multiple times in the show, and eventually have to pay back principal, which is painful. The only difference in their finances and that of the government is that the government can confiscate wealth through taxes and print money via the central bank. So that's what we should expect to happen. Notice he used the word confiscate by paying taxes. This won't be a big problem in the near future, Dalio believes, but it may be in the long term.
Ray Dalio. So we've talked about it on the show before, and we actually looked into it. I mean, the stimulus packages it's more than that. That's what really has held people over, right? Interest rates were so low for so long, especially like during the pandemic.
Yep.
That not only were people out there once they got comfortable to go out and buy homes, right? A lot of people did some cash out refinances. They were able to pull some equity out of their houses and still be able to drop their monthly payments because rates were so low.
Yep.
So it wasn't just the stimulus packages that they got; it was also the low interest rates and the cash that they were able to take out of their homes.
Yeah, man, it's wild, and we've done this to ourselves. And I think at the time, what's funny to me is you see all these conversations happening now from all these economists and all these people in government. Obviously, with an election year coming, it's funny to me to see, like, where were these conversations when we were handing out the stimmies? Where were these conversations over the last 14 years? Like, why are we all now going, ha, look at that stuff we did, that was stupid? You know, and we expect all these things to happen, and yet, you know, these things are not normal that led to it. This is very abnormal. Never happened before in history. Unprecedented.
Unprecedented, yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about some history, shall we? Let's talk about what's happened with CPI historically and where we are today.
Got some good stuff here.
So Saeed's going to go into his usual prolongated version, and I'll give you the high points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the open breakout that Saeed's got planned here is very telling. But I will read 2 points from this article from CNBC. July CPI report shows inflation gauge rose 3.2%, less than expected. The consumer price index rose 3.2% from a year ago in July, slightly below those expectations. The core CPI ran at a 12-month rate of 4.7%, also below the estimate. Both measures were 0.2% on the month up. Almost all of the monthly inflation increase came from shelter cost, which rose 0.4% and were up 7.7% from a year ago. And if you know, because you've listened to the show and you've heard us go on and on and on and on and on and on, rent and rent equivalent must come down. Rent equivalent, of course, being home prices amortized in the form of rent. That is a problem.
Right. So what Chris is also saying there is it's not just what you're seeing out in the market now for rent. You may be seeing asking rent coming down in your local neighborhoods or in whatever market you're in. But until those contracts get executed and then reported, that's when it'll start to really reflect into the CPI report. So the shelter component actually made up 90% of this report. If you look at it, right, it came in at 7.7% year-over-year increase when the headline figure was 3.2%, right? And we already know that it makes up such a big component of the report already. This has steadily come down, and it's gonna take a long time. And this is probably another reason why the Fed believes it's going to take until 2025 for us to hit their target rate of inflation of 2%, because this component, like Chris just noted, makes up 90% of the report, right? From March until now, these are the figures year over year for shelter. 8.2%, 8.1%, 8%, 7.8%, now 7.7%. It's going down, but it's going down extremely, extremely slow.
And I'll tell you why. Without a question of doubt, I know the answer why, because, of course, I'm a genius. You're only having rent go up and down. You're not having home prices go down enough yet.
Right.
And the areas that home prices are going down nationally are slim relative to those who have stayed the same or gone up, East Coast, for example. So you're not going to see that number come down dramatically, and it's going to be a drag on inflation.
Yeah, and the Fed's going to have to, hold steady until this figure does in fact come down, right? Because this is way higher than their 2% target range. And what they're really afraid of, and they've mentioned it, Jerome Powell has mentioned it in his post-game press conference.
Post-game.
The post-game press conference.
I don't know how I feel about you referring to the FOMC meetings as a game.
Yeah, it is a post-game press conference.
But
especially given the example that I'm about to give. So what they're really afraid of, and we talked about it on our previous show, and I was thinking about the best example to give, and Haroon, I'd like to get your take on what you think of this example. I know Chris.
Haroon's not your friend anymore. We decided.
I already know out the gate Chris is gonna hate on it.
Okay, he's a hater. That's why.
Because it's a sports reference.
Have I always been a hater?
Wasted memory space.
Wasted memory space.
Wasted space.
So basically, what the Fed is afraid of happening, right, is reversing course too early, and inflation spiking back up again. And the best example that I could think of is if your team has a 20-point lead in a basketball game and you take the starters out at the middle of the third quarter. The lead gets cut down, and now it starts to come up, and it looks like the other team's going to win. Now you have to sub your starters back in the fourth quarter, and then the game goes into overtime, and now it goes into double overtime, and it takes way longer to win the game, a.k.a. bring inflation back down. But it doesn't just end there. By playing your starters longer minutes, you risk injuring them, a.k.a. the economy. Right? Odun? Thoughts?
I thought it was great.
That's a good fucking reference.
Right? It's not just about winning the game. It's also the impact and the damage that it'll make long term.
No, that's good.
You could sacrifice the rest of your season.
That's golden.
Golden. Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
look at you.
It gives me pain.
All right. Oh,
wow. Did you practice that?
I thought you were going to leave me hanging. I ain't going to lie. All right. So to break down CPI a little bit further. So this is the first time CPI. You're salty.
I'm not salty. You're just being a dick, bro.
Come on, bro. I thought you were going to leave me hanging.
I would never leave you hanging. I would make sure you
got to tune into the YouTube channel to see what just happened.
See that Saied completely dissed me on the fist bump.
Yeah.
He gave me the psych from 1990.
Right. So since June of 2022, remember when inflation was at its peak for the CPI, it was at 9.1%. It had been steadily coming down month over month over month. This is the first time since June that it went back up. It increased. Granted, only 0.2%, but it is an increase month over month.
Meh.
Not a big deal?
I'm not worried about it.
Really?
I don't think that this is enough to get the Fed to increase the Fed funds target rate again.
No, they're not. They're definitely not because
and I think we were planning on a prolonged hold anyway. So right now, I think it's just too early to tell.
It is too early to tell. So the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
You love the Chicago Mercantile Exchange.
They haven't missed, just like Bloomberg's WIRP. World Interest Rate Probability Index.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Before this report came out, there was an 85% chance that the FOMC does nothing at their September meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And there was a 15% chance that they increase it 25 basis points.
Yep.
After this report came out, a 90% chance that they don't do anything.
Bloomberg World Interest Rate Probability is even less than that.
So even less chance of them increasing?
Even less than a probability of them
okay, yeah.
increasing.
Because there's only a 10% chance of them increasing 25 basis points. Now, there's still a lot that's going to come out. This report, there's going to be another CPI report that comes out before that meeting. There'll be another PCE report that comes out, another jobs report that comes out. But to round out the rest of this report, food was up 4.9% year over year. Energy prices were down 12.5%.
Mm-hmm.
But that was an increase actually from the previous month. The previous month they were down 16.7%. So you're probably seeing this at the pumps that gas has gone back up, and you're probably starting to feel it back at the pumps because oil's coming up again. Lastly, services. So this is the labor market wages that the FOMC and Jerome Powell continue to target. That is up 6.1% year over year and is really impacting these reports.
So, of course, the Fed, who's supposed to look at these reports and be data dependent, they look at other reports too. And I would say probably the most second largest focus they've had has been jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And while they've looked at inflation, particularly core inflation as their primary metric, they've also really, really been talking about how jobs are really healthy and really strong, and that it's given them the confidence to continue with the Fed interest rate increases. Well, according to The Guardian, the U.S. economy adds 187,000 jobs in July, a sign the labor market is cooling. But I'm going to give you a big asterisk on the paragraphs that I'm going to read from this, which gives you lots of data to think about. Because, again, bullshit, okay? Bullshit. That's the asterisk. Bullshit. And I'll explain why shortly. U.S. employers added 187,000 jobs in July, less than expected, and a sign that the labor market is cooling after a series of interest rate hikes by the Fed Reserve have driven rates to their highest level in 22 years. The jobs market has continued to add at least 200,000 new jobs each month this year, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS. But that compares to an average monthly gain of 400,000 in 2022, so half. July's gains were just 2,000 more than the jobs added in June. The BLS revised June's job gain down to 185,000, a cut of 24,000 jobs. It also cut May's job number. Together, June and July represent the two weakest monthly gains in 2.5 years. And that last paragraph tells the tale. That's the asterisk. I went down the rabbit hole, as dark and scary as it might be. I wiggled my little fluffy bunny tushy down it. And I found out some interesting things being down in that deep, dark hole. Yes, I did.
Okay.
So it turns out the Bureau of Labor Statistics and the jobs numbers have been revised not once, but twice for every single month going back the last 6 months and probably presumably before that. But you notice how you've never heard that in the media? The job numbers come out, it's a big headline. No one ever goes back and says, hey, shit, it was revised down. It was revised down. As a matter of fact, in June, the job number came out. It was revised down once and revised down a second time. The May number came out. It was revised down once and revised down a second time. Guess what happened in April? It came out. It was revised down once and revised down a second time. You want to shoot for what happened in March?
Tell me, Chief.
It revised down once and revised down a second time. But nobody's talking about it. So we have called bullshit a number of times on the show. And you want to know what this is? I've got a single word for it. And all of a sudden, it's going to make sense. Okay? Haroon, is your mic on?
Now it is.
Okay. This is something I like to call Bidenomics.
Oh, Bidenomics.
Yeah, and that's not a political statement, okay?
Yeah.
These numbers coming vis-a-vis the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is a division of the government. This is White House, baby.
This is White House.
They want those numbers to be strong and then revise them down quietly while no one's looking.
Right.
I truly believe that. And Zero Hedge has a fantastic article. I'm not going to link to it because I didn't get a chance to read it and proof all the data, but I think it's probably accurate, and it's worth a read.
Definitely worth the read. So if you remember, the last part of that CPI report that I touched on was that services inflation, aka the labor market, was up 6.1%. Mind you, the Fed's target rate is to get it to 2%, right? That is significantly higher. What the Fed is trying to do is they're trying to slow down the economy. And the number one tool that at their disposal to use in order to do this is by increasing the Fed funds rate, the rate at which banks can borrow money, right? So the thought process is if they can slow down the economy, it should increase unemployment, which in turn will slow down wage inflation, okay? And because there's jobs that are being added month over month over month, the unemployment figure is now back down to 3.5%.
So is this how you get cocaine in the White House?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just trying to figure out how that plays into this.
Yeah. That sounded like a political statement.
No, there was cocaine, but they don't know how it got there.
Yeah. It just somehow got there.
Is this how it got there?
I mean, how you can't tell? Like, come on. You got cameras everywhere. You can find out.
It is arguably the most secure building in the country.
Yeah, it should be.
And we don't know how cocaine got in there?
Right. I'm going to come drop some cocaine in here and be
come
like,
on,
hey,
meow.
how'd it get in here? I have no idea.
I know exactly how it got in, okay?
How?
They had a Bureau of Labor Statistics meeting, and somebody brought the party favors.
Right.
They did a couple of, bumps is what they call it. I think they call it bumps. Bumps, that was the
don't
term?
be that. They call it, but you've seen the movie Blow.
Like 16,000 times. But so allegedly in the movie Blow, which is obviously fact, not fiction. Oh, rest in peace, Pee Wee.
Oh, we never even talked about that.
We didn't talk about that. Pee Wee Herman died, man.
Unbelievable. We even had it. We talked about him on the show once or twice.
Stud,
this guy.
Yeah.
Except for the stuff that he got caught up for, we're not gonna.
Okay, let's talk about that.
Paul Rubens.
Paul Rubens.
I don't know enough about that to talk about that.
We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna have this, okay? Granted, Pee-wee's Playhouse. All these kids watched him. I understand the stigma, but he got caught masturbating while watching porn in a movie theater, which is what you did back then. They didn't have like Wi-Fi. You know what I mean? It wasn't like the internet age.
Wasn't an adult movie theater?
It was an adult movie theater, and he was watching porn in an adult movie theater, but he was touching himself while watching it in the theater.
Isn't that wasn't like the catch? Like, this is what you do here? He was the only one?
exactly my point, right?
Come on,
like,
man. Like, what are y'all doing?
So y'all were more mad that he was touching himself versus he was there?
Yeah, you
Like,
guys.
where are we drawing the line here?
You guys had adult movie theaters just out and about. What do you mean?
And if this happened today, so let's just fast forward to today. If he was at home doing this without anybody, like, there's not a problem.
Which he clearly was doing.
I mean, there's a lot of people who do this kind of thing. I'm just saying the fact that he was in a theater back in the day and I guess a public set.
It just makes that picture
I
so
know,
much worse.
It ruins all the pictures. It ruins the whole image. I get it. But I'm just saying that he was wrongfully. We went too far as a country back then.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about an era where you couldn't even see sex on television, and now
Like,
you can't watch cable without seeing sex.
come on. Why he has to have his tongue out and shit? Come on, dude.
There was a Paul Rubens Chia Pet. Who knew?
Damn, Chia Pet was actually a thing, huh?
Yeah, no, what?
I thought it was just like a joke. People were buying that shit.
No, that's real. That's real, baby. That's
No,
not,
I know
that's
they
not
were
just a
selling
white
it,
elephant.
but like, were
It's
people
not a white elephant gift. It's a real gift.
were
It's a
people
real
really
thing.
buying it?
Yeah, back in the day, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Chia.
No, I remember the commercials.
Did you know people actually bought them? There was
No, I don't know
commercials?
a single person that ever bought one.
So you think there was just those commercials and nobody ever fucking bought
I
one?
think they were like Christmas gag gifts.
All Chia Pets?
Chia Pets.
Chia. You gotta do the voice, man. You can't just not.
got to, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So that voice is okay, but one that sounds ethnic to you.
That was the ad. That's how you promote it.
So you can use the same voice that you use in an ad because it's how it's promoted.
Yes.
But when I do it for somebody that you identify as a certain particular ethnicity, it's all of a sudden offensive?
I didn't say it
That
was
seems
offensive.
hypocritical as shit.
I'm all
That
for.
seems very hypocritical.
No. Listen, I'm all for all the accents, all the impressions. I'm all for it as long as we do it for all of them. It's inclusive.
But, well, I'm not good at all accents. That's the
Get
problem.
better. That's the only way you don't get canceled, sir.
You know what I think is really fucked up? If you make fun of like an Asian person by doing their accent, it's offensive. If you make fun of doing it like an Indian person, it can be offensive or whatever, right? In certain no one has ever gotten mad at somebody for doing an English accent. Why?
Why? Yeah, I've actually heard the guys on the Flagrant podcast talk about this.
You listen to other podcasts.
I listen to the podcast. This is a hilarious podcast. So Schultz and Akash Singh.
So ours is not
Andrew
a hilarious
Schultz.
podcast.
I mean, we're not there, but we're good.
Do
we're
you
just
not know how to sell the show?
there. We're getting close.
Haroon, can you mute his mic now? Just fill in from the rest of the show. You did great last
I
time.
did this like 2 episodes ago.
The fact
as well.
that you're gonna lie to the people.
Lied about what?
You're more funny than Andrew Schultz.
I'm not more funny than Andrew Schultz. We are more funny than Andrew
We
Schultz.
together, right?
We're not even close.
Well, thank you. Thank goddamn, Odoo was about to jump on me for that. Let's stop. Enough. But what they talked about, and they had actually a serious debate about this. They said you could do the accent. This is what they believe as comedians, right? You should be able to do the accent so long as the accent itself isn't the joke. If you're using it to promote the joke,
I 100% agree with that.
yeah. So it's like
If you're just making it real,
yeah, exactly.
like, that's not insulting. That's just making it real. That's acting, baby.
And on top of that, it's as long as it's inclusive and everybody gets the jokes, then hold on. This isn't discriminatory at all.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting the joke. I'm making fun of myself. I'm making fun. It's like,
Well, this is why I thought the fat jokes were okay with the room back in the day. It's, I make fun of myself too.
yes.
I'm the first person before the show started. I was making fun of you for thinking that I was skinnier because I bought a bigger shirt.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Yeah. You do look skinnier, though.
it's because I bought a bigger shirt.
Yeah.
See?
Good job. Well played.
It's called a mind fuck.
Cerebral.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cerebellum.
Yeah. Cerebellum.
All right,
So back to the jobs report.
let's talk about jobs.
Jobs.
And how we're about to
So-
lose ours.
there was more stuff in this report that I thought was very telling. So how far deep did you get into this report?
My little fuzzy bunny tail
Yes.
did go down the deep dark hole once again.
Okay.
Yeah.
So although there were 187,000 jobs added, did you know that 22,000 temp jobs were eliminated?
Yes, I did.
That's a big deal. So that's showing that, okay, this is going in the direction that the Fed wants to see, right?
Well, it's a cost-cutting measure. So a lot of these companies who have temps are gonna. That's where they start cutting some of that employee costs that are spending extra money on because they've got to find a way to increase their profits. And if they can't increase their profits, they have to increase their revenue, which is profits minus expenses. So
Right.
you get rid of some of the unnecessary expenses like temps. Those are easy to let go of.
Right, and that is an indicator that the labor market, the labor force is actually weakening, right? If companies are in fact hurting, they should be, eliminating some of their temp positions before they eliminate, some of their staff.
Your full-time employees or
Right.
FTE.
Yeah, your full-time employees. Also, in this report, the average weekly hours, so they actually measure how many hours people are working a week, that started to tick down. So that could be a big reason as to why we're not seeing the unemployment figure go up, companies are asking their employees to just work less hours.
Yeah.
So that number is starting to tick down. That is a major role. So to break it down, let's see, construction added 19,000 jobs. Healthcare was the big winner here. That accounted for about half the jobs added. That was 87,000 jobs.
I'm much more comfortable with the idea that healthcare is adding jobs
I'm all for it.
than I am about fucking hospitality and travel adding jobs.
Leisure and hospitality, 17,000 jobs added. The government added 15,000 jobs.
All IRS agents. Thank you, Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah, and construction added 19,000.
Again, where?
Yeah.
Why are we adding construction jobs? Like,
Right.
what in the actual shit is going on?
Right. And with that report, also what came out was the JOLTs report, Chris's absolute favorite.
I hate that fucking report so goddamn much.
Yeah.
First of all, it sounds like a bad action figure.
Right. The JOLTs report, which stands for Job Opening Labor Turnover Survey.
Labor turd survey.
Yeah, exactly.
Job opening labor.
So
turd
the job openings
survey.
out there, that actually fell down to 9.5 million, still extremely high. It's down to 1.6 jobs open for every unemployed person. We remember for the longest time it was near 2 jobs for every unemployed person.
You know, I was talking to Nouriel Robini the other day, and he told me that he thinks the JOLTS report is dog shit.
That's what Noriel said.
Yeah, he said dog shit, and then he got back into his cold plunge.
Yeah. Oh, hell no. You want to talk about... Oh, listen. Chris has something to share.
No.
No, what do you mean?
No. I do not own a cold plunge. Okay, I do not own a cold plunge. I did.
Yet?
No. There has been no introduction. No one's hooked me up. Okay, let's just start right there. I did go down the rabbit hole because I realized that a lot of these cold plunges on the market that are selling on Amazon and all, I mean, even the ones that are high branded, they're all selling the same stuff you can get on Alibaba if you order like in bulk, and you can get them for way cheaper. So I went down the rabbit hole of just trying to figure out like the suppliers and everything else because I thought a bunch of my friends could do a group buy. Now, what if I told you two assholes who are ungrateful right now that some of these cold plunges are selling for thousands of dollars, like 4 to 8 is probably common. What if I told you I could get you that $4,000 cold plunge for $800?
Christopher.
Would you buy it?
I'm telling you right now, I
Would
will
you buy it?
I will never own a cold plunge.
What? You've got a palazzo and all that space. Why wouldn't you hold a cold plunge?
That doesn't sound appealing at all. What do you mean? I don't need the extra dopamine rush, dude. I'm good.
Listen, then you're just not a good human.
Listen.
Okay.
First of all, let me graduate to cold showers first. Okay.
No.
I don't need to go to a cold plunge. What's wrong with the cold shower?
Let me work out once a week.
This guy's.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good starting point for you. I'm not going to disagree with that. You should probably do that. Yeah. But what I'll say to you, sir, is that you ever been to like a Burke Williams, like a high-end massage place?
Yeah.
You ever gone in like the little?
I actually got my
spa?
wife a package for one of the things I got her for our 10-year anniversary.
Wow, flex.
No.
And what did she get you?
Oh, baby.
Pair of OG Travis Scotts.
My son asked me literally the other day. He smelled. I think we were driving by like In and Out, and he smelled it, and he's like, "Dad, what's one of your favorite smells in the world?" It's like the smell of new shoes.
I know.
It's just the number one.
It's a very unique smell. It's actually glue, but that's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's okay.
I'm okay with it.
I used to get
specific
high.
glue.
I used to get high as a kid. It's okay.
So, yeah, I think it was more the entrepreneurial looking into the cold plunge thing. It wasn't really me. Like,
Did you want to resell? Is that what you wanted to do?
I thought about it because here's what happened: is I saw a young kid who opened up a cold, like he started selling the product. He had like the water chiller portion of it that he was getting on Alibaba, which clearly resells if you buy in bulk at $800 a pop. He was reselling it for $2,900, just a chiller. Then him and his buddy made an insulated metal cold plunge, which I thought was a good idea on their part, but he was selling it for $6,000. And I'm like, okay, that's ridiculous. It's a giant metal tub.
Is this one of the cold plunges that you fill it up with water and you have to dump your own ice in it?
No. The chillers that I'm talking about that he's selling for $2,900, that literally will cool it down and keep it cool at all times.
Okay. See, if I were to ever get one, it would have to at least be that one. I'm not buying my own ice.
No. I'm not looking at anything. I'm looking at one that automatically self-chill. So the one I'm telling you for $800, it has Wi-Fi. You can do it from your phone. You can make sure it's cold at all times from your phone. And you can make sure before you go down there, it says what temperature, right? It's got a 1 horsepower pump, hot and cold, that goes up to 105 degrees, Goes all the way down to 38 degrees.
I'm gonna own a sauna before I ever own what's it called? A cold plunge.
Okay.
This is come on. You're
I
better.
mean, you got space for both, bro. I
you're
don't have
bet-
space for any
I
of
can't
that.
believe you flip flopped on this.
I'm not flip flopping on anything.
You said you want to.
I went down the business due diligence path to see if it was economically viable, and it turns out there's way too many competitors in the space. It's just too saturated,
Yeah,
and they're all buying from the same place. That's all.
that's all.
That's just me being an investigative,
Investigate.
running down an idea that could possibly make us look at it. Can you imagine the higher standard cold plunge?
Yeah, the logo on it.
Yeah,
We
the
just have it.
dopest dopamine.
We just have it to use as a table.
Yeah.
It's our coffee table.
We need to find a way to have people sponsor us. Like, people have been asking to give it. Okay, look, guys, you've said on the show many times that you want to find a way to support the show. Buy our $10,000 cold plunge. Makes total sense. All right, let's move on to inflation and an example which I think is very, very important. So I read this article and I thought, aha! We are right once again. Saied and I are geniuses. Haroon, by association.
He's a genius.
Yeah, by association.
Okay.
So, according to Bloomberg, the first American city to tame inflation owes its success to affordable housing.
Wow.
We have talked so much on this show about how housing is the gateway drug.
Housing.
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 That just came out. I don't even know why that came out that way.
That's just so innate.
Yeah, it's very Southern. I apologize. How housing is the gateway drug to solving for the addiction problem we have with home prices, okay, with inflation. So, in May, the Twin Cities, Minneapolis, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's in the paragraph. Yeah. Became the first major metropolitan area to see annual inflation fall below the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. Its 1.8% pace of price increases was the lowest of any region that month. That's largely due to a region-wide push to address one of the most intractable issues for both the Fed and American consumers: rising housing costs. That sounds like something that was said on the higher standard a lot.
Shocker.
Well, before pandemic-related supply chain snarls and labor shortages roiled the economy, the city of Minneapolis eliminated zoning that allowed only single-family homes, and since 2018 has invested $320 million for rental assistance and subsidies. So because they found a way to have more affordable housing. Sure, it may have impacted home prices. Sure, it meant that some landlords weren't going to get as much money. And some landlords would be subsidized, which is a fine alternative. What does that mean? That means that they've solved their rubric, which means if you look at this as a microcosm of the national economy, that if rent and rent equivalent were to go down because we were to solve for the same problem, or if just home prices were to go down and rents were to go down, you would solve for the inflation problem. That is what this is essentially saying, using one city as an example of what could happen across the country. And that is why we've talked so much on this show, to the chagrin of many, many younger real estate agents out there, and we've warned realtors that listen to the show that are fans, that housing does need to be corrected, not only because it'll wipe out the middle class, but because it is the key, the gateway to solving for inflation.
Yeah, kudos to the people over at Minneapolis that had the foresight to do this, right? I can't imagine cities across the nation are all going to start adopting this, right? I mean, it's money that they're going to have to be able to set aside and pay out, because that's how affordable housing works, right? The landlord is getting a portion of the rent, right, from the tenant, and then the remainder of the market rent from the city.
Yeah, Section 8's a great example of that.
Yeah,
Section 8 housing.
exactly. So you'd have to get the cities to sign off on this. The toughest part probably is to eliminate the zoning.
Eliminating the zoning was actually a brilliant play. That's the smartest part about this whole thing.
Yeah.
Is that allowing more density in certain areas. Now, keep in mind, if you're in like a Los Angeles or a Miami, adding in more density to these already dense areas are not easy. But Haroon pulled up a great chart from the article. Minneapolis has seen lower rent growth in areas that change zoning rules, right? So because they changed the zoning rules the way they did, they've only had a 1% rent growth from 2017 to 2023. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, my God, they didn't have any growth during that time. Well, yeah, but that's also why their inflation is so tamed. This is why it has to go the other way. United States overall, 31% during that time. Yikes.
But if a lot of the reason why we are where we are as a country and the economy, right, is due to capitalism. And if you do remove that, there, I mean, we're also not factoring in how this could impact, the country as a whole in other ways.
No, I get that. I get that. So Tarek El Moussa from the television shows.
Flip or Flop.
Yeah, Flip or Flop and all those other shows. He came under scrutiny because he's a syndicator. So he has his TEM Capital, and he got a lot of criticism because they use the Ellis Act, which is a way to evict tenants from properties, right? And low-income housing tenants as well. They all fall under the Ellis Act. So he bought a property with syndicated funds through a limited partnership, and he advertised how he was going to, basically turn this dilapidated property into like this really high-end luxury property. But in doing so, he neglected to mention that he was going to use the Ellis Act to evict people. And now he says he wasn't the one who did it; he was just one of the partners. But you're part of a limited partnership.
The Ellis Act, correct me if I'm wrong, that's the one, right, where you're when you buy it, you're going to have the tenant. You're basically saying I'm going to live in the unit, right? And then you can't re-rent it out to somebody else for a certain period of time until that you move out or you offer it back to them.
That is
original
the
rent.
most classic example. There's also you can keep it vacant for I think it's 2 years. There's a bunch of loopholes in the Ellis Act.
That's right.
Keep it vacant for like 2 years and then you can relet it. So,
right. So you just fine. You don't want to you want to evict this tenant and skirt around rent control. Then fine, but you have to sit on it and not make any money for a certain period of time and just eat your losses.
And some people do that. Some people have. So neither here nor there on how the Ellis Act works. Probably a little more complex for the show. If somebody really wants to hear about it, I'm happy to do it at a later date. But what I will tell you is that because of that, he's come under a tremendous amount of scrutiny, and people are really upset. And my response to people when they criticize him as being heartless and a capitalist and all these other things is, if not him, someone else. What he's doing is not illegal, unfortunately. And a lot of people want to put up nicer properties in areas, but yes, that does mean that rents go up, and there is affordable housing and benefits that are requirements. So if you build a property a certain size, the state and the county will require you to have a certain minimum number of those units set aside for affordable housing, but it's not really well regulated. And Minneapolis seems to have solved for a lot of that, I think, in the way they handled things. I think they should be looked at, and maybe this can be applied other places.
Yeah. So I guess remains to be seen. I can't see many. It'd be nice if more cities adopted. I just can't see this sweeping across the entire nation.
It's very controversial, and I can see why that's a problem. Which is why I think home prices have to go the opposite direction than what they are going now.
That ratio between how much people are actually earning and their wages versus affordability has reached a point. Is almost reaching the peak levels that it did in over historical numbers, and that where it ultimately comes back down. How this does come down, I think, will ultimately be factored in by a number of things, with whether that's unemployment, credit card debt, household debt getting back under control, or bankruptcies and delinquencies getting out of hand, or people having to sell their homes at an alarming rate just to maintain their equity.
Well, as of right now, unfortunately, according to CNBC, home prices have hit record highs in 60% of U.S. markets. 60%. This, combined with my next article, title alone sells it, Market Watch, rental housing cost rises to slow significantly over the next 18 months, Fed research says. So now you've got ultimate highs of housing prices in 60% of markets. You've got rental housing, which is expected to slow significantly, but not reverse. Rental housing increases or rises at cost of rents. It's supposed to slow significantly over the next several months. It's going to slow, but not reverse, not go the other way, not stay flat. It's going to stop accelerating to the cadence that it is. Now, the third article that we have, and probably the worst part of this whole thing, from Yahoo Finance, credit card debt has now hit $1 trillion for the first time on record ever.
New milestone.
New milestone. Congratulations, America. You fucked it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Going on, according to new data, a troubling development has interest rates and delinquencies are also on the rise. Total balances on credit cards and other revolving accounts reached that $1 trillion mark the week of July 26th, up from $998 billion the prior week. Y'all spent $2 billion in a week.
How is this possible?
What are y'all doing? Put the crack pipe down in the White House.
So the number of accounts that have this has expanded by been 6 million in the last quarter. There are a total of 578 million credit cards out there right now. 30% of Americans have between $1,000 to $5,000 in credit card debt. 6% have more than $10,000. If you think about it and you break it down, that's 6% of Americans that have over $10,000 in credit card debt. Makes up 14 million Americans. All right? And what this is really exposing is that almost a majority of people out there are now using their credit cards to cover themselves month over month.
Add in student loan repayment, and that's what we call Yahtzee.
That is going to be the Yahtzee in October, right? Now, Bidenomics is trying to do everything they can to slow it down. They're going to try to introduce some updated income repayment options. They're going to do like an onboarding process of 12 months where if you don't make your full payment, they're not going to ding you for lates and whatnot. So they're going to give you time and make sure you go do your own research on how you want to go about and manage that. But they're going to do everything they can to try to make this as, they're still doing everything they can for you, right?
So Haroon also brought up this quote from the article. The youngest Americans ages 18 to 29 had the highest credit card delinquency rates in the second quarter. According to the New York Fed, at least 8.8% were 90-plus days behind on payments, up from 8.5% the previous quarter. This was followed by 30 to 39-year-olds who had a delinquency rate of 7%. Those 40 and up carry delinquency rates of 5%.
So something that I thought was really noteworthy here, right, is remember, not too long ago when we analyzed Q1's figures, we noticed that for the first time in over 20 years, credit card debt didn't actually decline for Q1, because usually what people do is they spend a lot of money during the holidays, and then Q1, the debt starts to come down because people start to pay it back, right?
They're like, nah.
With their end of the year bonuses. And it's not even just nah, they couldn't.
Yeah.
So for the first time ever, it remained stagnant, and that was alarming, right? Red flags went up like, wait, why did this not go down? And this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. So the average credit card interest rate now, according to Forbes Advisor, is 24.69%.
Let's just round up 25%.
25%, right?
25% interest. You're paying 25%. That's insane.
I got an example here that I think is very, very telling. And if you haven't ever messed around with any of these calculators that they have online, you should do yourself a favor so you know what you're really getting yourself into.
You mess around with calculators a lot?
All the time. I mess around. I fuck around and find out. My favorite game to play.
That's what you do when you're at home alone, the internet's available to you?
Yeah, I see. Okay, if I have $7,500 of credit card debt and my interest rate is 15%. So this is the example. If you have $7,500 in credit card debt and let's just say, interest rates were back where they were at 15%, it would take you approximately 6.7 years to pay that off if you paid $150 a month, right? The minimum payment. That would be $4,300 in interest paid. Now, let's increase that interest rate to 20%, right? Which is still below the average of what people are paying now. It would take you 9.1 years to pay it back. That is almost an additional 3 years, right, to pay it back. And an additional $4,000 in interest. I took it a step further and I tried to plug in 24%. You know what the calculator spit back at me?
Said no.
I swear to God, this is what it said. It said, it is unlikely that you can pay off the balance with the monthly payment of $150. It didn't even give me a ballpark of when you'll pay this off.
That's fucked up.
It's fucked up, man. So, and that's the point where people are at now. They're using their credit cards to make ends meet, and it's really sad because they're opening more credit cards to just carry themselves over. They have student loans that are coming back on. I have a breakdown here of all the debt that's out there. Let me see if I can find it. Student loans. So household debt, non-housing debt balance. This is from the New York Fed. Credit card debts are at $1 trillion. You have auto loans that are now up to $1.58 trillion. You have student loans that are up to $1.57 trillion.
Auto loans really scare me right now. Auto loans are really scary.
Because that really ticked up as well, because cars are now that much more expensive, right? And it's not that wages kept up with the increase.
Nope, not at all.
So people are just having to get higher loans to buy these cars. It's out of control, man.
It's wildly out of control. And again, people are like, well, all these things won't impact the housing market. I think all these things are absolutely going to impact the housing market, and it scares the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And I know that we go on and on about the show, and we're not serious about a lot of things, but I know that all the major banks that are out there now are starting to pivot and suggest that they're not forecasting recessions. JP Morgan Chase being one of them. And I know that people are now going back to the soft landing pitch, right? Like, oh, we can avoid all these bad things from happening. I really, really, really don't think so.
I don't think so as well. And the last article that I want to bring up for the show from my list that I thought was very telling. Now, the overall numbers aren't there yet, but this goes back to, remember a few months ago we talked about delinquency rates. Now, the number of delinquencies weren't that high, but at the rate that it was increasing was really scary. So that article, Odun, that I had from, I think it was CNN, that Americans are draining their 401ks, right? This is from the article. More Americans are tapping their 401k accounts because of financial distress, according to Bank of America's data that was released this past Tuesday on August 8th. The number of people who made a hardship withdrawal during the second quarter surged for the first 3 months of the year to just shy of 16,000. Not a big number, but that's an increase of 36% since the second quarter of 2022, according to Bank of America analysts, right? The chief credit analyst over at LendingTree, Matt Schultz, said there's only so much debt people can handle before delinquency spike. It's only going to take a medical emergency, a job loss, or maybe something like student loan repayments.
I see what you did there. Nice. Little bow on it there at the end. Made it relevant.
Yeah.
Made it timely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think that's these are all bad things. And for people to ignore them and feel good about the economy, right now, if you're listening to the show, I don't mean to be negative. You shouldn't feel good about the economy. You should feel very, very uncertain. We are in unprecedented times, dealing with unprecedented situations, and the results should be on some level unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
So it scares me. It scares me a whole lot. But the good news is I've got you too.
Oh. Pumpkin.
Pumpkin. So did you get a haircut before you came in tonight?
I sure did. Me and the boy.
You went where?
I went down to Huntington Beach.
So what?
Yeah.
You're not cutting it yourself now, is what you're telling me?
Dude, come on. This is a fade. What do you mean?
You've told me multiple times you're going to try to cut it yourself.
I am. I know. Don't say that. Now my wife's going to say, you've told me too.
And you didn't do it?
I know.
Your wife and I are aligned on this.
The boy looks good with his haircut. I can't do his hair. That's just too much.
We're growing Carter's hair out long so we can comb it backwards, and it's at that weird phase where it won't go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like he has the biggest mohawk thing going on. It's not a good look.
Oh, really?
It's in an awkward phase, but
that kid's a good-looking kid, dude. He looks good.
By the way, his glasses look great on him.
Oh, thank you. I felt like a failure as a father to the fact that he had to wear glasses.
How?
It's not your fault.
Dude, I don't know.
A failure as a father? That's a bit extreme.
I just felt horrible. Like I didn't start wearing glasses to my late 30s, and he has an eye that kind of, you can tell, has trouble focusing.
Mm-hmm. So
the glasses aren't permanent. It sounds like it's only going to be a year or two, and then he can not wear them anymore. They're not for like his vision per se. It's just that his eye doesn't focus well. But he, to his defense, for a 4-year-old, put them on, has never taken them off during the day. He loves them.
Great. Thinks he's daddy.
It's incredibly. And the first day he was like, "Daddy, look, I got glasses like you." So now I've been wearing my glasses nonstop to show support. So
what a good dad.
Or that one time he fell when I was watching him and he cut his nose is my fault that his eyes messed up.
Still to this day.
I will never let it go.
You're holding on to that.
I am the world's worst father. I feel that way some days.
That's a bit extreme, man.
I just feel terrible some days, man. It doesn't go away. I wish it did. It doesn't.
I know.
Well, you're back from Hawaii. Haroon's got more prodigy. And I'm here just missing you guys.
It does feel nice to be back.
I even got I miss you text from you.
Yeah.
It was very awkward for me.
It was?
Yeah.
It was more for Odun.
Yeah, I feel like that was for him.
Yeah.
I just pictured you in a lagoon with your finger in your belly button, playing in the water, sending me an "I miss you" text.
Bro, I got a sunburn on day 1. I was like, how does this happen?
Why do you get sunburn? You don't wear sunblock?
I did. It wears off after 5 hours, I guess. I don't know.
That wears off after way quicker.
Okay, now we have to talk about this. Share your honeymoon story. That's the best.
Oh, so after getting married, leading up to the wedding, you get exhausted. And then with all the festivities, so I was exhausted. And we left for our honeymoon literally the day after our wedding. We get to our destination. It's one of those like Sandals resorts, right? My mom hooked us up with that was her wedding gift to us. So thank you, Mom, even though you're not listening. We get there day 1. We touch down. We change. We go out to the beach and we're just relaxing. I fall asleep on the beach.
Oh, bad move.
Bad move. Wife was not happy that I fell asleep.
She didn't wake you up?
No. She said, I'm gonna let him sleep.
Oh no.
And I got sunburned, man. It was bad. I learned my lesson.
What was she doing this whole time?
She was laying there right next to me, putting sunscreen on. Yeah.
She didn't put any on you?
No. I learned that lesson the hard way.
Oh,
Yeah.
I could say a lot here.
Yeah.
But I feel like that would be insulting to somebody.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say that sucks.
Yeah, it did suck. It did suck pretty bad. But this last trip to Hawaii was amazing, man. We spent a lot of good quality family time. I must have gone down the water slide with my son 100 times a day, it felt like. With my daughter, we just hung out at the little kiddie pool. They had like sand in the pool to make it feel like it was a beach. The lagoon was nice. And then at night, we stayed up all night playing Mario Party. It was just family time the entire time. It was awesome.
Mm.
Yeah. No complaints at all.
We complained.
Did you?
Yeah.
What'd you guys complain about?
That son of a bitch isn't here working like us.
Oh, of course.
I mean, it's terrible. I mean, he's over there taking care of a baby. Still comes to the studio.
Stud, this guy.
I feel like you could have called it in.
Hey.
We pay for technology for that.
Yeah. This guy is working overtime over here.
He is. Speaking of which, we should get you out of here, Haroon. I don't want you to...
Some reviews? No reviews?
Oh, yeah, we have reviews. Shit.
We have some notable reviews.
Yeah. Let's get in the reviews.
All
we
right.
got 4 of them.
We do. Some of them are amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This one from Dodge Kev. Best podcast out there. 5 stars.
Yeah, we love you. Dodge Kev.
Listen, I'm not saying this. The review said this, okay? Let me be very clear.
Jesus Christ.
I found this podcast from my former favorite podcast, Mind Pump.
He is saying that. Said Omar is saying that he stole somebody.
This has become my new favorite podcast. No offense to the guys at Mind Pump, but they unfortunately dropped down to a close second place.
Ooh, close second, though.
Okay, I mean.
Get a participation trophy.
Get a participation. Little pat on the butt.
Yeah, good job, guys. Ooh, can't do the pat on the butt anymore.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
No offense to the guys at Mind Pump, but they unfortunately dropped to a close second. As someone who works in banking and has an hour commute 3 days a week, I find that I'm enjoying the commute listening to y'all.
Wow. Hour commute 3 days a week. Well, hey.
Good for
we
you.
appreciate you appreciating us, appreciating you.
Yes. This podcast is entertaining, informative, and hilarious. I love the bantering from Chris and Saied, who are both equally villains. I'll live
It's
with
accurate,
it.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah, you're good. Yeah, good.
Kind of a dick.
Additionally, Haroon is the GOAT and is the pull-it-up Jamie of the show. Keep doing what y'all doing and don't listen to the haters.
He was referencing the type of goat that eats anything. I'm kidding.
We're gonna get negative reviews again.
No, I'm kidding. It was sarcasm. I apologize. I'm fat.
This next one, the best financial literacy podcast, 5 stars. This from Grace P. Cho. I first found THS through the bald guy on Mind Pump, and I'm so glad that Chris and Saied gave up their budding basketball careers to pursue a career in finance.
Long time listener right there.
That's you just know what you're doing.
Kind of new. I mean, honestly, Said's basketball career wasn't real. Mine was.
You know, damn. It hurts because it's true. They could have become the next round mound of rebound and the Muggsy, but instead we get to benefit from their experience in banking.
She just called me fat and you short.
Yeah.
But it's funny.
Respect.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
When Haroon remembers to record, that is.
Ooh, yeah.
Whoa.
That's funny because it's true. Ooh,
yeah.
We got a little click action going on there. What was that?
This person listens to every episode. Respect.
Yeah, I get that.
In this podcast, you will learn how to become such a baller that you can ditch your family and economy while you sit in first class.
That's not an accurate.
That is a factual representation of the show.
Nope, that did not happen like that. That's
just ditch. I like the word ditch.
That's a misrepresentation.
Emphasis on ditch.
I do not accept that review.
All jokes aside, THS has become the only podcast I never miss an episode of. They talk about current events and other topics to help you on your journey to financial independence. You do not need to have any sort of financial background to listen and learn and be entertained. They break everything down so anyone can understand and continue learning on their own. Keep up the good work, you guys. Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan, Joe Rogan.
See, God damn, that's a great review.
God damn, that was sexy. Good job.
Well thought out, well executed, fucking brilliant. Obviously honest because it's 5 stars.
Yes.
We love you.
We do love you.
Yeah, that's it. We love you so
we
much.
We have 3 more. Did we save some for the next one?
Let's get one more.
One more? Okay, this one's another long one, so strap in. Here we go.
All right.
These guys are my heroes. This from RB23.
Not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes they wear black shirts and beads.
Yeah, and Travis.
And Travis Scott's.
Or Nike Sakai's.
Sakai.
Yeah, here we go. I just wanted to thank Chris, Saied, and Haroon. You know, I do want to say I do like how people appreciate Haroon.
Do you think they wouldn't? Why wouldn't
No,
they?
I'm just glad that they make sure to include him.
Haroon is a stud. He is a quiet gel which galvanizes all of the bits between our 2 cookies.
It's probably the nicest thing he's ever said about me.
That you're the gel
me
between our
or
2
him?
cookies?
No, Chris.
Oh, okay.
Look,
You compliment me all the time, Saeed.
No, what? Whoa. On the air. But you and I both know that's not the way it is when the mics turn off.
Stop it. All right. As someone that realized that financial literacy was quite frankly a weakness of mine, I appreciate everything that they bring to the table.
Not anymore, baby. You're tapped in. The #1 financial literacy podcast in the world.
Or financial literary. It's all, I mean.
If you like books, too.
If you like books, yeah. I appreciate everything they bring to the table in both old and new listeners. They break down the current financial conversation and what it might mean for everyone moving forward without being dry and inject banter to keep things lighthearted.
Which is, ironically, something that I've been criticized the most for. You know, you're so unprofessional. You keep making these phallic references to the male anatomy, and it's just really offensive to my soul. That one listener no longer listens, so I don't think they're going to get offended by me.
Yeah, so if you really want to stick it to the establishment, keep leaving us these reviews.
Yeah. So my little cotton bushy bunny tail can go down deep, dark holes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to submit this review as a show of appreciation. I'm living in Southern California trying to put myself in a new field to make more money and navigate the increasing rent, inflation, and general state of the market. Listening to these intelligent minds,
I feel like that's Haroon.
Intelligent minds, has been a pleasant educational experience and has helped guide me toward achieving my goals. My only wish is for them to have a live event sometime soon so I can thank them in person. I love this podcast.
Well, this podcast loves you, and a live event is something that we will do. I think we need a little bit more following and traction, which I fully expect us to get, because if not, we'll fire Saied in the next couple of months or so. And then, I think we should do something. I think we should start with Los Angeles maybe, and then Los Angeles, and then groom ourselves for maybe a little bit more travel. We have our top markets on our analytics. Canada is actually a good one, and so is like New York and Chicago.
Right.
So lots of fans all over the place. And
I'm coming to Seattle with the white coat. McDreamy, baby. Here I come.
You just can't not have a reference in every single fucking episode.
Every time.
I've already admitted the guy's a stud, great hair.
I'm invested.
You just want to keep going back to this.
The best.
12 seasons.
12. No, there's 19.
19 seasons?
You watched 12.
How many episodes in a season?
A lot. I don't even know. I think like
10?
I think like 20.
20 episodes in 19 seasons?
I think so.
You're out of your fucking mind watching all that shit. What's wrong with you?
I love spending time with my wife, man.
I do too, but you can't watch the same thing every single night.
It's good. It's good.
400 episodes? Are you fucking high?
Wow. I could be spending that time editing.
There are 4. This is why we're not getting enough shorts out of here. Yeah. Okay, anybody listen to the show, you want to know why we don't have shorts on social media? It's because this guy is watching McSteamy.
No, we don't have, McSteamy. It's McDreamy, man. Get it right.
I just wanted to
put some
you.
respect on his name.
Wasn't the other guy
Put some respect on my name.
I haven't got to that point. Don't be killing the show for me. This guy. Look at sabotage.
You're only like 100 episodes in?
No.
You got another 100 to go?
I'm on season 2, man. I don't know. We watch one episode every couple days.
Why are you committing to this?
Because it makes my wife happy.
This makes your wife happy?
It does. It makes me happy seeing her happy.
I know that you say that while the mics are hot.
What are you saying? Don't be that guy.
But you were just telling us before the show started about how much you hated this fucking show. And
That's
you
That's a lie.
It's not a lie.
Oh, dude?
Yeah.
Did I say that?
You answered the question. Yes, you did that.
Exactly.
Yes.
Leave us an honest 5-star review and go like us on YouTube and subscribe and do all the fun stuff. We out. Let's go.
No, we're not out. We're going to address this conflict between you and your wife.
We're out, Chris.
We're out.
Fine. Bye.
Good night, everybody.